Imperium might have won the battle, but did they win the war against Diamond Mine this week on NXT 2.0? Kaylee Ray forces herself into a title match next week against women's champion Mandy Rose. And of course, we had Legado del Fantasma try to seek revenge on your NXT 2.0 World Heavyweight Champion of the World, Braun Breaker, all this week on NXT 2.0 with Wrestling Never Sleeps. Highlight of the night had to have been the opening match. Imperium versus Diamond Mine. A potential matchup that we might be able to see if the Creed brothers can make it to the finals and win the tournament for the Dusty Tag Team Classics to get a chance to face off again with Imperium for the tag team titles. But for tonight, it was six-man tag team action. Now, Imperium did walk away with the victory. It was an excellent match by all six participants. It was a classic in the last few weeks, one of the greater matches that I've seen on NXT 2.0. Walter was out there with his team, the tag team champs by his side. We had Roddy Strong, who lost to Walter a couple weeks ago, with his tag team, the Creed brothers, by his side. We had Bevins in the corner. It was a great, entertaining match. It was fast-paced. It was brawl style, and then it slowed down a little bit. About halfway through, it normalized to a six-man traditional tag team match without all the chaos. And of course, the finish was strong. It was impactful. It was beautiful. A great win for Walter. But again, my main question for this match, my main question for this whole feud, was that the battle or was that the end of the war? We might be able to get to see the rematch. 2 versus 2 for the tag team championships. If the Creed brothers can get through 2 more teams in the Dusty Tag Team Classic to face off against Imperium for the tag team titles, something I would be A-OK with. The fact that these guys got in there tonight and did what they did for the opening match set the bar so high. Unfortunately, the rest of the night took a little bit of a dive after that match. It was probably my favorite match of the evening, even though the champion was later on in the main event in another tag team match of his own, but let's not go there yet. Gunther was getting the Walter chance. He was putting a beat down on all the members of the Diamond Mine. They tried, but they fell hard. I don't see how anyone's going to be able to stop Walter and his unit. Imperium is the main faction right now in NXT 2.0, and they proved it tonight with a great performance, a dominating win, and of course, who's going to stop Walter? Who's going to stop Gunther? Whatever you want to call him, he is still an amazing, one-of-a-kind talent, and the fact that he's now the head of NXT 2.0, in my opinion, even though he's not champion. He is the top heel. He will be Braun Breaker's #1 threat eventually down the road. And, he's just unstoppable. And again, he proved that tonight. He carried the team. He carried for the win. He got the pin. Bada bing, bada boom. Move on out. Who's next? Because he's stepping up. And it's just going to not stop. Walter, Gunther, again, like I said, whatever you want to call him, I go by Gunther because, again, respect to the master in the ring. He can do no wrong. He's flawless, even in tag team match. We're so used to seeing him in singles matches, and, he just doesn't skip a beat in any situation that he's put in. Doesn't help that he had great talent to work with tonight, but again, he carried his team to victory, and that's all that mattered for Imperium, especially if the Creed brothers make it to the finals, win that tournament, and get another chance at those NXT Tag Team Championships. Imperium will already have the advantage. They'll already have the one-up. So it's time for the Creed brothers to maybe dig down deep and try to settle the score by winning that tournament. Now, moving along, speaking of other championships, along the NXT 2.0 brand, we had Kaylee Ray wanting her shot at the Women's NXT Championship against Mandy Rose for Vengeance Day. unorthodox tactics eventually got her what she wanted. It took her all night long. But after kidnapping Gigi Dillon and JC Jane, after stalking and tormenting Mandy Rose, with cake in the face, we had spaghetti dumped on her, we had her chased around with a baseball bat, we had her fall into the lap of Malik Blade, which was a very interesting story on its own. But nonetheless, Mandy Rose gave in to giving Kaylee Lee a championship title match. And that match isn't going to take place on Vengeance Day. Oh, no. Kaylee Ray stepped it up one notch better. She gets her shot next week, which means we get to watch that match next week. And we don't have to wait until February 15th for Vengeance Day. We get it next week on NXT 2.0 with Wrestling Never Sleeps, baby. Now, moving forward, we had a great feud in the works here. We had a build-up with a restraining order. One of the participants is now a hired hitman, bodyguard, whatever you want to call him, an enforcer. And we have two talents that are, fantastic chemistry together on their own, wherever situation they are in. Again, just one of those talents, they just click. And this LA Knight feud and Grayson Waller feud is really, 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 attracting my interest, to say the least. Grayson Waller has the look of a heel. He acts like a heel. He moves like a heel. And LA Knight is just so over. Each and every week, he comes out to the audience, chanting his name, wanting more. He's so charismatic. His in-ring ability is unquestionable. And the fact that these two might potentially get to face off each other if LA Knight gets through one more tough test presented by Grayson Waller. Now, tonight, we got one step closer to that test. We know what it is. Next week, LA Knight, after losing to Joe Gacy tonight due to Zonga and, of course, Grayson Waller coming through the crowd like a ninja, hitting the cutter, allowing Gacy to get the win tonight, sets up a big challenge for next week. LA Knight versus Zonga. If LA Knight wins, the restraining order will be lifted. And potentially, Grayson Waller will give LA Knight the shot he deserves at getting revenge. Now, it seems kind of weird that Grayson Waller would do this, but he honestly does not believe that LA Knight can make it past his bodyguard, his enforcer, next week on NXT 2.0. But if we know LA Knight like we think we do, he's going to dig down deep, he's going to come through, and he's going to make this happen for us. Not only for himself, but for us, the fans of NXT 2.0. And hopefully, this match gets added to Vengeance Day, February 15th. Women's division, the women's matches, there was a couple squash matches in there that didn't really make sense. We had Lucy Liu from Whoville. We had Wendy Chu from wherever she's from, halfway falling asleep as she's walking out towards the ring. I don't get the character. I don't like the character. I don't like the gimmick. I'm sure she's talented in ring, but we don't really get to see that too often. Again, because the gimmick overshadows her ability, her skills that she might potentially have. Now, she wouldn't be good if she wasn't in NXT 2.0. If she wasn't good, she wouldn't be here. But the fact that she's going out there and competing in a onesie, bringing a pillow and a sleeping mask and a blanket to the ring, as her opponent, wouldn't you just want to think that, wait, give her 5 minutes, let her tire out, she'll go for a nap, and then I can just peacefully pin her 1, 2, 3, and walk out of there with a W? Just me? I still don't understand the gimmick, but hey, if that's her thing, that's her thing. If that's the direction NXT 2.0 wants to take her in, by all means. I will watch. I will wait and see where this actually goes. What they're going to do with Wendy Chu. Do I see her as being the top contender for Mandy Rose's title? No. Do I see her really being more of a comedian act, a comical act for the children, the demographic that NXT 2.0 is aiming towards? Yes. She does fit in with the program. Not my program, but NXT's program. And, let me know your thoughts on what you think of this character. Each and every week she comes out with the pillow with a onesie. I just can't take it serious. But nonetheless, not taking away from all the women of tonight, Cora Jade and Raquel Gonzalez did square off. Obviously, Cora Jade had a lot to prove tonight. Raquel Gonzalez doubting her ability to be a great tag team partner for the both of them to enter the women's version of the Dusty Tag Team Classic. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Raquel Gonzalez. She was the top of the moon when she was NXT champion. She made a great champion. She's big, she's strong, she's experienced now. She has the in-ring ability. She's got the promo on the mic. She's got the full package. I don't know why she's not champion other than, Mandy Rose being there and taking that spot right now, which makes perfect sense. But if she wasn't there, Raquel Gonzalez would be my next bet. Now, looking at Cora Jade, she's about 5'3", 120 pounds soaking wet. It's an interesting dynamic to a team that potentially could form, and obviously we're going to see that after tonight because respect was shown from Raquel to Cora Jade, even though Cora Jade fell short, no pun intended. She took a beating, many pinfall attempts, and still was not able to be put away. She gained a little bit of momentum throughout the match. There was a sliver of hope there for her. A sliver of light was shining through until the door just ultimately slammed shut on her face. That being Raquel Gonzalez putting her away for the 1-2-3. Rightfully so. Gonzalez is a beast. But nonetheless, we might see these two team up potentially in the Women's Dusty Tag Team Classic, which will be an interesting dynamic. Like I said, you got the big, strong, more experienced athlete in there. You have the quicker Cora Jade in there, so it might mesh really well. We're just gonna have to wait and see. Obviously, the Women's Tag Team Classic has not started yet, but after tonight, we know at least one of the teams involved in that, and potentially are looking for a Women's Tag Team title shot against the champions Toxic Attraction. Speaking of champions again, Carmelo Hayes, the NXT North American champion of the world. He's got it all, except for the size. Don't get me wrong, great promo, great look to him, great attitude and mind. He knows how this business works, you can tell. He's on his own little level in NXT. He thinks he has the A championship around his waist. Obviously, Braun Breaker is no joke, being the NXT World Champion, but Carmelo Hayes might have a good argument. He's an excellent promo. He's got the sidekick. He has the in-ring ability, even though we don't get to see it a lot because he's more of a backstage presence right now while they were figuring out the next contender, which we obviously know now is Cameron Grimes, a guy that I was a fan of going into tonight. But after his little promo, their little one-sided beatdown from Carmelo Hayes verbally towards Cameron Grimes really had me drift away from Grimes a little bit. Had me push away. I'm not ready for him to be NXT North American Champion. I'm not ready for him to move up the ladder in terms of the rankings. I don't want to see him win and take away the championship from Hayes just yet, even though Hayes will potentially probably be challenging for the World Championship in the near future, the way the NXT and WWE pushes their talent so fast up the ladder. But I hope they let this one settle a little bit, let him defend his championship in the first real defense, in his case, being against Cameron Grimes at Vengeance Day. Cameron Grimes just has this over-the-top, obnoxious attitude about him, this look, this demeanor that I just don't really care for. I think it's really cartoony, even though that's the direction that NXT 2.0 is leading towards in terms of the family, the kid-friendly, the cartoony look, branding. He fits well with that whole scheme, don't get me wrong, again, but just not my cup of tea. I drink coffee, baby. And that is Carmelo Hayes, a champion that I look forward to each and every time he steps out in the ring, whether it be in-ring or on the mic. And again, I can't wait for him to see this defend his championship, rightfully so, against Cameron Grimes on Vengeance Day, February 15th. And last but not least, Legado del Fantasma. Santos Escobar is reaching out, trying to gain the upper hand against Braun Breaker, potentially before their big matchup that they might be having for the NXT World Championship. There was a tag team match offered. It was more or less a handicap at first, but an unusual step up, an unusual participant in this matchup stepped into place to back Braun Breaker, and that's the man that Braun Breaker took the NXT World Heavyweight Championship from, Tommaso Ciampa. A fan favorite, excellent worker, probably the most talented worker NXT has to offer right now with overall experience, popularity, success in everything that he's done. He's been NXT thick and thin, gold and black, and this new generation. He's carried the way. Just a great partner to have going into this match. And, he was the right guy to be there because they prevailed. And they got the job done. Legado del Fantasma tried. They were outwitting. They were being quicker. They were using their speed to their advantage. But again, ultimately, the strength of one Braun Breaker alone did them in with Tommaso Ciampa's assistance. Braun Breaker is just really unbeatable right now. And I feel bad for Santos Escobar as he goes into this feud a little bit deeper and deeper and deeper. It doesn't look good. And Braun Breaker is definitely the face of NXT 2.0 and will be probably treated that way moving forward, and especially past when these two guys eventually meet. A real true test, though, a real great solid first defense when it does happen for Braun Breaker would be Santos Escobar. Again, another man with the look, the attitude, the in-ring ability, phenomenal. He's got the facials down. He's got the anger down. He's got the team behind him to take his bumps, like I said on previous shows. It's a great fit. It's a great way to get Braun over, more experienced as champion as well. Not that he really needs it. He's developed into that role very, very finely. And again, we got to see it this week with a little bit of a helping hand again from an unexpected source, being Tommaso Ciampa. Great match. Tag team action all around, all night long, even though there was no Dusty Tag Team Classic matches going on place. They certainly filled that void with the women, the 6-man, the 2 tag team matches on their own. It was an interesting NXT for me. We got one more to go before Vengeance Day on February 15th. I'm looking forward to next week because, again, there was a lot of matches listed. We have an NXT Women's Championship match, like I mentioned earlier, again, that is, going to be off the charts if, things keep on going the way they're going. The cowardly Mandy Rose, the sly Mandy Rose might come out a little bit more, and she might get away with slipping away with her title somehow, some way to set up a match for Vengeance Day. Again, just my thoughts running through my mind. But nonetheless, I'm looking forward to it. False finish all around. Overall, the night was, again, a little flat for me, even though there was a lot of exciting action. The storylines did develop and they did push forward. Nothing seemed like it kind of sat still. And even this week, we got a special treat, something that we didn't get last week, someone that I always look forward to, and that is Harland. Even though he didn't do anything, him physically being on TV just gives me hope that they're not going to mess up this guy. A true athlete, thick and thin, inside and outside of the ring. If you don't know his personal life a little bit, definitely a look into it because he's a true performer. He's born to do this, and he's a born badass. I just can't wait for them to give him a little bit more action to see what actually he can do rather than just, being a standing sign outside the ring and potentially not even getting involved in any of Joe Gacy's matches. Not that he needed it tonight, again, as we went over. Grayson Waller was there to do the dirty, but Harland was on this week's episode. So, thank you, NXT 2.0, for adding him in this week. Last week, it felt a little lonely, a little normal without that weird presence of him being around. With that being said, NXT 2.0 this week with Wrestling Never Sleeps. Again, I am your host, Real Adam Anthony James Martin, straight shoot _ AA via Instagram. One of a kind and oh so fine. Bada bing, bada boom, baby. The straight shoot in the suit is wishing you all a good night. Until next week, NXT 2.0. Stay tuned for AEW Dynamite review tomorrow with more members of the team. Look forward to that each and every night. Follow the YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram. Click that like button. Hit the subscribe. You know what to do on there. And, we wish you guys the best. And we look forward to talking to you soon.